I heard about Target Hope through my high school counselor. My mom actually wouldn't let me go at first because she was very protective, and she didn't want me to be going downtown by myself on Saturdays. And I remember I cried because I couldn't go to Target Hope because I felt like it was such a great program and I really wanted to do it.
I didn't want to come back, actually, to tell you the truth, but I had pitched it so hard to my mother and father that they were like, you're going back. You don't have a, my parents are, you know, they're it's our way or the highway type of people, so they told me I was going back, so I was stuck in this program that really grew to become kind of one of the defining entities of my life.
It was like this cool thing to do. At the time, I think everybody was doing it or just going. So I started going. What kept me at Target Hope was the alumni that came back and just seeing their success story.
The other people that had gone through the program, like my sister, they were like her in that they were focused. They had a passion for education and bettering themselves. They were all focused on higher learning, so I thought it was a good environment for me to be in.
I always knew that I wanted to go to college. I always knew I wanted to get a master's degree, hopefully a PhD.
One of my best friends, Jason Matua, he and I actually attended Morgan Park together, but it wasn't until we went on the August college tour that we even realized that we went to the same school. We were going into our sophomore years at this point, and we became such great friends on that tour. We realized that we had a number of friends in common outside of Morgan Park, and he's been my best friend since then.
My favorite Target Hope professor is definitely Professor Dixon, because when he talks, he's a storyteller. Everything that he says and he taught us, it was told in a sense of a story, and it was empowering.
Dr. Watson, her way of presenting information was very blunt and straightforward, and I definitely appreciate it.
He related all types of myth and facts to us, that people, misconceptions that we even believed about ourselves and our history, and he turned that around and let us know that you are powerful people and you will do great things.
Professor Dixon was a wealth of knowledge, and even some of the professors that I didn't have, just to know that they were there as a resource just really kind of made things stick and click with me.
Yeah, you know, my first tour, you know, I was being a bit rambunctious. I was the loudmouth junior, and that's part of that early on friction with Mr. Williamson. He actually pulled me and my roommates out at the time, pulled us out of our room in the middle of the night. We got on the bus, we drove around Georgia, found a 24-hour bus truck car wash. He gave us rags, said, Charles, y'all gotta get these grease stains out the window. So we had to wash the windows with rags. And he said, you know what, the lug nuts don't shine. So he gave us another rag. We had to polish the lug nuts. Then we had to polish the leather on the seats. We had to scrape the bugs off the windshield because, you know, we were being too loud in our room. And honestly, it's my favorite tour memory because that's that exact turning point, because it wasn't really a punishment, because the guys that I had to do it with, we got so tight, it was just laughs. Then, you know, Mr. Williamson started laughing, then Courtney started laughing, and we were just chopping it up during our punishment. And it's actually when I got full into Target Hope, at that moment when I was being punished. And you know, that's really, I think, that moment that Mr. Williamson actually embraced me and actually took notice of who I was in the organization. So
my favorite tour memory is a little embarrassing, but it was probably the first time that I was put on the spot and had to speak in front of a bunch of folks, because I wasn't really used to it. Okay. Mr. Williamson, you know, tapped the mic 3 times and had he said, "African brother in the back, I need you to come on front." And at the time, you know, most folks didn't know that I went by Mo, but that was the time that, you know, it became formalized and everybody in the program got to know me a little bit more. But he brought me up to the bus, and I think he just had me do a reflection about what we had seen and witnessed at Howard University. And I would say that was probably my most memorable moment. It's really the first time that I had to do like some serious public speaking, like on a microphone.
My favorite Euclidism is probably when he was Africans and you know, wake us up on the bus, and I like being called an African personally.
Stay away from the young homies and from the young woadies. Don't let them get you caught up.
Turn contacts into contracts.
And he taps on that mic and he's like, "Wake up, slaves."
He said, "Charles, I didn't think it was gonna happen, brother, but at the 11th hour, Negroes came together and we're going to Pigeon Forge. The black synergy is here." I was at work, you know, it was the last day of school, and it just made me smile from ear to ear. And I was talking to him during my prep, and I had a student on the computer, and the student was like, "Mr. Beavers, why are you smiling so loud? Why are you smiling so big?" And I'm like, he wouldn't even understand.